You're listening to Transcending Sport on Wisp Sports Radio, Episode 14. I'm Chris Stafford, and at Wisp Sports, we believe that women in sport deserve equal coverage. Transcending Sport tells stories of women who have given back to sport to help others in different ways, from organisations to campaigns, business to sports administration, charities and media initiatives.
There's a couple of initiatives that happen at the women's game. One is that people get to sponsor players, so you put in a bit of money and you get to sponsor the player, and that means you get tickets to games, you get programmes, you get to meet the player afterwards, and you get one of their shirts.
That was Lee Baynes, who describes herself as a massive Arsenal fan, supporting both Arsenal and Arsenal women's teams. She volunteers at the women's games as well as being a sponsor of one of the players, and she's a member of the Gay Gooners Committee, which is actively involved in boosting the supporter base for women's football. I caught up with Lee to hear more about the LGBT groups that are providing a safe and supportive community for football fans so they never have to attend a game alone. Hi Lee, welcome to the programme.
Hi.
Well, you're joining us from where exactly?
Whitstable in Kent, England.
In the south of England. Okay, so
yeah.
You have a little bit of a commute to your club, Arsenal, in London, do you?
Oh, I do, yeah. If I go to Arsenal women, it's about an hour and a half drive. If I go to a men's game, it's about 2 hours on public transport.
Right, but you're obviously a dedicated football fan, and we're going to hear about your background as to why you became such a great fan of the sport, and also about the Gay Gooners and other clubs that I described in my introduction there. Now, first of all, tell me how you became such a football fan. Did you play yourself?
When I was little, like as a kid, I used to love playing it. I used to play with all the boys in the playground at primary school. And as I got to about secondary school, I started watching it. I actually started watching it later than most people and just fell in love with it more and more as the seasons went on and on. And yeah, I wish I could play it more, but I definitely enjoy watching it.
Were there particular teams that you followed then once you became a fan?
It was mainly Arsenal. I obviously in England didn't really care about anyone else. I just fell in love with that club.
A dedicated fan right from the start then. But what was it that appealed to you? Why Arsenal?
Family were all Arsenal fans, and we lived in London at the time, be it South London, whereas Arsenal's more North London. And yeah, they were our best local club. It was either that or Charlton, really, and at the time I didn't really know what Charlton was.
Now, in terms of the popularity of the women's game and for players and for fans as well, it's relatively recent years that it's become as popular as it has, isn't it? And I'm curious as to how much women's game there was when you started to become a fan. Were there many women's teams for you to support?
Well, I didn't know about any when I was little. I did play for a club when I got to about teenage age, and they were pretty poor, if I'm honest. People just randomly turning up on a Sunday hoping to get a team together. So I didn't really think of it as this big thing. I think it wasn't until I went to school and managed to get to a Women's FA Cup final that was at Upton Park at the time that I actually thought, oh, hang on a minute, there's some professional players playing here. And then it started getting on BBC, and it was only ever the FA Cup final that was ever on telly. So I didn't really know much about it until like the Euros hit and the World Cup that was in Canada, I think it was, not that long ago. And that's where it started, I think, growing in this country.
Yes, it certainly did. That was very popular when the World Cup was in Canada. And now, of course, you are doing your part to sort of build a community really around the gay and lesbian community. Tell us a little bit about how this came about, the Gay Gooners, because you also told me before that there are many more clubs that are supporting that community and supporting their own team. So, but tell us about Gay Gooners, because you're on the committee of the Gay Gooners, aren't you?
Yep. Yes, I am. Well, Gay Gooners itself formed officially in February 2013. We were the first, and we're now one of the biggest with over 600 members. They have a banner up in the stadium at the Emirates, and we have a committee of about 12 to 15 people that really get together to work out how to just show awareness in the club and show awareness in professional football, both men's and women's. I mean, yeah, there are about 35 other fan groups for the 92 professional clubs that are in England at the minute. And I think more and more clubs are joining. I mean, near enough every time I'm on Twitter, there's a new LGBT club that has formed or is forming, which I think is brilliant. But there's only 35, and there's 92 professional clubs that could have this community.
Yeah, it sounds like they're all following your example, though, with the continued increase in these clubs around the country. It's only a matter of time, I would imagine, before people realise the benefits of it. To sum them up, what would you say are the biggest benefits of having a club for this community?
As someone that doesn't go with people, generally, apart from women's, I'd say being part of an LGBT community gives you that community spirit. It allows you to meet people before games, so you're not feeling like you're going on your own. You're buying tickets together, so you're sitting with people that you've known, that you've met before, and it is that community that you can all go together like a family would go. And sometimes people do tend to end up feeling, oh, I can't go to that game. I don't want to go on my own. I don't know anyone there. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think Gay Gooners especially, and I know Pride Irons are really starting this, like the meeting up before the games, getting that togetherness beforehand, exchanging the tickets there and then going in together as a group. And I think that's the biggest and best reason.
And this, of course, would encourage people who might have felt intimidated or isolated and interested
Definitely.
in football, but not really, as you say, want to go and sit in the stands on their own, but to find, they're part of this gay, lesbian community. It would be, I should imagine, very supportive and not only good for them personally, but it's good for the club. It's a win-win situation, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I really think so. I mean, a good example of that is when we were all at Pride last year. The togetherness of all the teams, all the LGBT teams, were as one because we all come under the Pride in Football banner. So all the LGBT communities have like Pride in Football as their other it's like we're members of two groups, our LGBT group and the Pride in Football group. And that togetherness, I think, is absolutely amazing because I don't think I probably would have hung out with Tottenham fans or Chelsea fans, but because of being on the Gay Gooners committee, because of going to Pride and being part of Pride in Football, I have now. And like there are LGBT groups for like everything, and I do love their names. I mean, you've got like Proud Cherries for Bournemouth, Rainbow Rages for QPR, you've got Canal Blues for Man City, and my favourite, LGBT Pies for Notts County. I mean, just the genius of the names, I think, are brilliant.
That's fantastic. Now, this was Pride March, of course, in London, which I personally am aware of, but this is something then that is extending beyond football, isn't it? But I'm curious, just to come back to your membership, Lee, how many of them would you think would have played themselves at any time in their lives?
To be honest, I wouldn't know the answer to that because I've not really thought about that kind of a statistic, but that would be really interesting to look at. How many of them would be semi-professional or even amateur players themselves? But then I could say you could look at the same statistics with any supporters group. How many fans have actually played themselves?
Yes, exactly. I mean, they might just have played at village level or at school even, and got an
Mm,
interest, or as you said, like in your case, had a family interest in a particular club, and that would, bring make you a supporter. I know this happened to me many years ago too. It was family interest in a club that you then went along because it was a family outing. But it sounds as if these LGBTQ groups are becoming a family in themselves. So, do you do any other activity aside from going to the game with these groups?
oh yes, definitely. I mean, I don't know about other groups. I know Gay Gooners have had Christmas parties. We've had social meetups like bowling night. I know Proud Irons had a quiz night recently. Um, and yeah, before games, before the Brighton game, Arsenal and Brighton, both groups met up before the game and had like a penalty shootout and stuff like that. So yeah, there are various different opportunities to meet, even if you never actually want to go to your game yourself.
And you say on your Twitter feed there, your profile, that Arsenal's LGBT plus fans is the world's biggest and the UK's first LGBT plus fan
Yeah.
club. When you say you're the biggest, how many numbers do you have then compared to other clubs, Lee?
Well, we now have over 600 members, and that literally is growing every day. We have members from all over the world. I remember when we was at Pride and people saw our banner, we had people signing up from Germany and lots of other countries. And then also we had people coming from loads of other countries, just turning up to Prides just to walk with us. I think it's incredible, really.
That's fabulous. Now I'm curious because you're obviously cross-gender. There's no segregation here at all. How
Mm.
many women you would have compared to the men, roughly? Do you have an approximation of what percentage would be of each gender?
Yeah, I mean, we have about 40% of them are women. Um, yeah, so 40% identify as women and 60% identify as men at the minute. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
when you fill out the form to sign up, there isn't like a tick box as such. It's just like we accept everyone, like
hmm
trans people that don't associate with any gender, and everyone's welcome. There's no issue, and that's what I think is brilliant.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, where would you like to see this go then? Because obviously you've been part of it now for a couple of years, and you're watching these groups grow. You're watching your own grow. Where would you like to see it go in the future, and what else it could do to build this community, Lee?
Well, I think as groups, I think the next stage really is having more LGBT groups at women's football because there's only a couple now that really go as an LGBT group. And I think we could do more for lower leagues as well because just because we are fans of professional football doesn't mean we're the only group of fans that should have an LGBT community. I mean, even your local town, if you went, so if I went to Whitstable Town FC and saw them play, I feel that there should be that acceptance everywhere. And I think the rainbow laces that the Premier League do is brilliant. And I think more and more clubs will be able to do that. And I do hope eventually men players will start coming out because, I mean, the ladies, that's no issue. There are gay professional ladies football players and they're miles ahead of the men on that front. I know at least two women that played for Arsenal that are married, happily married, with kids to their wives. And I don't think that will happen just yet with the men. And I think that's one of the reasons I prefer women's football over men's football sometimes. It's because I feel they're further ahead when it comes to players being out.
In terms of the sport itself, how often do you get to games, and do you travel not just when they're at home but when they're away too? So does that take you as a group then on a train up to the north of England or wherever you need to go?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the Gay Gooners members go to every game. I mean, there's a nice select few that have literally been to every single men's game, and that includes the Europa games in the the smaller countries and travelled on planes all over the world to see them. So yeah, if you ever did want to go to an away game, or if you live in that country and want to go to an away game and want to go with Gay Gooners, then that is definitely something you can do.
Fabulous. All right. Well, I'm bound to ask you the other thing that crossed my mind when I was thinking about these clubs and the community you're building and travelling together, because you see, like in cricket, there's the Barmy Army, right? And they are chanting away and supporting England wherever they go. I'm wondering if you have a theme, if you have a song or a team hymn, so to speak, a team anthem.
Nothing that we've made up as a group, but I do think that would be a very good idea, something to do. I know at the women, I think about 4 or 5 of the Gay Gooners members that go to the women's game quite regularly are literally in charge of all the chants that really happen at the Arsenal women's games. There's a couple that are really loud and they sing like pretty much start all the chants. But
Fabulous.
Not that I know about men.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of fun doing this, Lee. So how are the players themselves performing for you? Are you on a winning side this season so far?
The women, yes. Hands down, I think the women are going to go far this season. We're in the final of the Continental Cup. We've only really lost 2 games and we've got a new manager. And I have a lot of faith and a lot of hope in some of the players like Leah Williamson, Hayo, Danny Carter, Jordan Nobbs. They're just going to go far. But the men seem to be letting us down at the minute, I'm afraid. I think we've got like 6 points out of the last possible 15 and a lot of fans are not happy and they're demanding the manager out, and I'm just going to happily go to the women and see them win things rather than moan about the men.
There you go. All right, but join the winning team and put your support there. That's fabulous. And how long does this season run then for the women, Lee? When does that wrap up? Is it March or April?
I think it's about April-May time.
Okay.
We're on an international break at the minute. England are training in Spain, and then they're back again against Reading in a couple of weeks, and then we've got 2 home games in February. So we're about the midway point of the women's season now. Okay.
And how many of the Arsenal team, women's team, would be on the England squad?
I think we've got 4 at the minute that have been in the latest squad. We have a lot of internationals, so we have about 4 in the Dutch squad. We have 1 retired American, and then a few other Ireland, Scotland. So we're a very, very mixed squad. But they're all nearly all our first team are like proper international players.
And do you get to meet the players after a game? Have you got to share your community with them? Do they know how much you're supporting them?
Yes. I mean, there's a couple of initiatives that happen at the women's game. One is that people get to sponsor players. So you put in a bit of money and you get to sponsor the player, and that means you get tickets to games, you get programs, you get to meet the player afterwards, and you get one of their shirts. If you don't have the money for that, then after every game you can hang around at the pitch side, and players do come and have photos with you, sign autographs. I mean, I've been to so many games now that I've stopped doing that because I just have a never-ending pile of autographs because they're all so nice, they're friendly, they love having a chat and talking to you. And they even tweet back if you tweet them. Like a couple of times we've tweeted that we're on the way to an away game and they're tweeting back going, looking forward to seeing you, which is brilliant. You really do feel like you're one of the team rather than just a fan watching.
Yes, very much so.
Gay Gooners, we came to a Arsenal for Everyone game, which is an initiative that Arsenal set up to include everyone, and that includes anyone that works for them, any people that go to games and play as well. They're all it's for everyone. And that game, the Gay Gooners got to meet 4 players afterwards, and we had our picture with the Gay Gooners banner and everything, and that was amazing.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and I'm sure you have favourite players too. Are you going to tell us who your favourite players are, Lee?
Oh, well, before yesterday the men was easy. I would have said Theo Walcott, but he plays for Everton now, so I'm not sure who my favourite player that's left at Arsenal. Maybe Jack Wilshere. For the women, it has to be Leah Williamson or Heyo. They're just both brilliant for different reasons.
Okay. All right. Well, you're obviously having a great deal of fun with it. I think it's a wonderful initiative, and hopefully others will follow. So you get up to over 100, so almost every team in the country has its own gay and lesbian group. That would be fabulous. Well, Lee, continue to have fun, enjoy your football, or soccer as we call it here, and thank you so much for taking the time to come on the programme.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
You can find the full transcript of this episode along with the show notes and related links on our website at wispsports.com. And you can also join in this conversation as well as the many others that we have here at Wisp Sports Radio and on the website at wispsports.com. Just drop us a line to info@wispsports.com and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your comments, questions and suggestions. And you can also get involved in the conversation and follow and share and like what we do on social media. Just look for Wisp Sports. We know you have a lot of choices when it comes to podcasts, so we really appreciate you supporting Wisp Sports Radio and, of course, all women in sport. Until the next time, thank you for listening.